Hello, hello. Welcome to Dr. Toomer Talks on Tuesday. I am Dr. Toomer, a family medicine and community health physician and founder of Total Weight Care Institute. And I'm here today live on blackdoctor.org to talk about all things health, wellness, and weight care. And what I do is I help people maximize their health and wellness through weight care. And then I also help physicians treat and their patients with complete and comprehensive and compassionate weight care so that they can also enjoy the health and wellness through weight care. And before I get started, I realize I don't have my computer plugged in and I don't want to run out of juice right before we finish. So let me plug this in. All right, there we go. So, for those of you who don't know my background, I'm just going to give a brief background and we're going to talk a little bit about stress again because this is Stress Awareness Month. And so, the reason I harp so much on stress is mainly because stress almost killed me. Through the stress of medical school, the stress of residency, the stress of marriage, the stress of having 2 babies in 3 years, the stress of and if anyone can tell you the financial stretches of being a resident because they never pay us enough, then so all of that has led to my diabetes getting worse and worse and worse. And because my diabetes was getting worse, I was gaining weight, making my diabetes worse. And it just started this really vicious cycle. And then one day, about a month after my daughter was born, I went into congestive heart failure. And it was then that obviously I had a huge wake up call. But I also was suffering from postpartum depression, cardiac depression, and also just probably some mild low level depression. And so I had to treat that first in order to get the motivation I needed to get my health on track. So I'm very much an advocate of biopsychosocial approach to all human conditions, all chronic disease. And so it's always important to focus on the biology, focus on the psychology, as well as the sociology of anything that's going on because they all interplay. Well, here I am, uh, 23 years after being told I may not live a year, and I am 58 years old. This all happened when I was 36, and and in the process of getting my health in order, I've lost 100 pounds, over 100 pounds, and I've never gained any of that weight back. So now I help other people do what I did. But and also with my medical background, of course, I help with metabolic disease as well. But today I've been talking a lot about stress management, mainly because stress can kill. It just we've been taught, especially many of us as women, have been taught to not feel stress, to suppress it. But our body doesn't do that. Our body still puts out the stress hormones that cause all sorts of problems. The cortisol, the epinephrine, the norepinephrine, all of those things can cause insulin resistance, and that insulin resistance then leads to fat production. It leads to other issues. And of course, as you gain weight, your joints start to bother you more. But it also can cause vasoconstriction, small vessel disease constriction in the brain, in the eyes, in the heart, in the kidneys, in the fingers, and the toes, and you lose sensation. So these are things that happen. But it's not enough to just talk about it. It's also important to be able to do something about it in the moment and also long term. Long term, you try to go after the cause. What's causing your stress? Decide what you want and reverse engineer. That's what I talked about last week. But today, the most immediate thing you can do to relieve stress is to have backup stress relieving exercises. And so I'm going to show you one today because this is what I've used for the last 23 years to keep my heart and my congestive heart failure under control. With congestive heart failure, having a rapid heart rate is really bad. And there are medications that can keep your heart rate down, but sometimes those medications have side effects. So you can't always take the amount you need in order to keep your heart rate down. And that was the case for me. The amount it took for me to get my heart rate down also made my blood pressure too low. And that was just as dangerous as having a high heart rate. So I had to learn other techniques to bring my heart rate down. And one of those was from deep meditative breathing. And so what you do is there's a breathing exercise that can bring your heart rate down But the reason it's able to do that is because it drops your cortisol levels. It drops your epinephrine and norepinephrine. There's a nerve that runs along here called the vagus nerve, and it runs from our brain all the way down to our diaphragm. Our diaphragm is the, and if I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, it's a dome-shaped organ right up under our lungs. And when it comes down, our lungs fill with air. And when we breathe out, it goes back up. Well, the exercise of doing this stimulates that nerve because it's attached to it. And so it stimulates it. And that nerve is called the vagus nerve. It is a parasympathetic nerve. Parasympathetic is the opposite of sympathetic. So parasympathetic is the rest and restore um, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? System in our body, as opposed to the stress and fight or flight, which is what stress does. And so, as you learn to breathe and you stimulate this nerve, what it does is it just slowly brings down your heart rate. It slowly brings down those cortisol, those hormones, those, and then it helps release the better hormones, which help you relax. The dopamine, for example. And so I was trying to talk a little bit just to give people a bit of time to come in. And what we're going to do is actually an actual breathing exercise. And what this does, it lowers your heart rate. Now, if you want, you can check your heart rate now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay now and start from 0 and then just count your heart rate. Now, I'm actually going to time it. I need to time it to make sure I have the right amount of time. And so we're going to count our heart rate for 30 seconds. So start right now at 0. Now. Stop. Okay. So whatever number you have, you multiply that by 2. That's your heart rate for a minute. That's your beats per minute. We're going to do that exercise again after I show you the deep breathing, the meditative breathing, and how to do that. Okay. And so this can be done anywhere in the car, at home, if you can close your eyes and if you're in a place where you're relaxed, that's best. But really, honestly, you can do this anywhere in your office, in your car, in a classroom, wherever you are, you feel yourself getting, you can even just stop while you're walking down a hall and do this and take a breath. And I'll show you how. There's a special way of doing it. So, first, what I'm going to do is have you just relax your shoulders. We tend to hold a lot of our stress in the back of our neck and the upper part of our shoulder. And so, just want to kind of loosen your shoulders a little bit because you want to make sure that your arms and your shoulders are very relaxed before you do this exercise. So, you can like roll your shoulders back and then you can roll them forward and you can bring your shoulder up to your ear and then down and then do the same on the other side and then down. And what this will do, it just kind of helps loosen your neck so that when you do the breathing exercise, it's a little bit more relaxed for you. And then when we do the breathing, what I'm going to do is have you breathe in for 4 counts, hold it for 7. So obviously you're not going to count slowly, so about like 5 seconds, and then let it out in 8 counts. And we're going to keep doing that to help relax you. Now, the first thing we're going to do though is put our fingers together like this. And we're going to put it over our stomach. So that way, when you breathe out, breathe in, your fingers should pull apart. And when you breathe out again, and then when you breathe out, they come back together. So just practice a few times of your fingertips on your stomach, just slightly on your stomach, relaxed. Breathe in, fingers should go apart, and then breathe out, and your fingers should come back together. So we're going to do that with breathing in 4, holding for 7, and then out slowly for 8. And we're going to do that quite a few times until you start feeling like you're relaxed. And when you feel like you're relaxed, just put in the comments, relaxed. Okay? And what I'm going to do is give you some nice uh, rain music to help relax you. This meditative music works very, very well to help lower stress. So I'm just going to put this here and then play that. So fingers together for abdomen, and then turn this down a little bit so you can still hear me. Take a deep breath in, fingers apart, hold for 7, slowly let it out. Just relax, lean back if necessary. Again, deep breath in. And try to leave your mind blank. Try not to think about anything. Just focus on your breathing in, hold, and slowly in, hold, and hold. Try to relax your shoulders, relax your head and neck. Focus on your breathing. And slowly. And now keep your right hand on your abdomen and bring your left hand up to your heart. Just gently lay it there and continue breathing 4 counts in, 7 hold, and 8 out. Again, and just keep repeating this over and over until you just feel like you're. And for those of you who are wondering, the music is relaxing music and rain sounds. And that's what I put it in. Because that's what I find most relaxing. But you really can put in any sound you want or not have any at all. The only thing I would say is you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed. Of course, if you're going to close your eyes, you don't want to do this while you're driving. But you can do this breathing before going to bed to help you relax before sleeping. Really, just about any time. So I'm going to stop the sharing now. Come back, and if you have any questions, let me know. So this is what I'd like you to do. So now we're going to count our pulse again. and I'll tell you the music's still playing. Okay. So what I'd like you to do now is I'm going to tell you when to start. Start at 0, and we're going to check our pulse again. You can check it here or you can check it at your wrist. I find it easier at my wrist. So, all right. And so when I say start, you start at 0. Start. Stop. It went over just a little. But so because I was focusing on counting. So I don't know about you, but my heart rate went from 90 down to 79. So again, Tracy, you said 88 to 76. So when doing this, the more you do it, the quicker your body responds. Our brain loves routine. Our brain loves pattern recognition. So as soon as you start, our brain will recognize what its job is to do and it will do it. But that's only with practice. That's how habits are formed. But this is a habit that is beneficial, it's easy to do, and you can do this anytime, anywhere. Um, and so when he said yours went from 97 to 87, I didn't realize how stressed I was. Yes, 87 is not that bad. You really would like your heart rate to be somewhere in the mid to upper 70s. The healthier you get, the lower your heart rate goes. And so you may see people who are like long distance runners, their heart rate may be in the 50s even. Sometimes though, it really just depends on what else is going on and how symptomatic it is. Sometimes having a low heart rate obviously is not that great. But but this so I wanted to show an exercise where um, you can breathe your way into calm. And there are other exercises, there are other things you can do. You can go on YouTube and you can find different um, videos on how to do this. You have videos that have music along with them. You have all sorts of, yeah, I found like I like relaxing rain music. And so I put that on. Some people like Tibetan flute music, and we'll do that. But it's the same pattern: 4 counts in, hold for 7, 8 counts out, and always make sure that you push your diaphragm. Your diaphragm should be flattening during when you inhale, and therefore your stomach should push out when you're inhaling. We have a tendency to suck in when we inhale, and that actually lends itself to more stress. So remember to let it out. So if you have any questions, this is going to be a short one today. If you have any questions, I can take them now. Um, And Mona said, "The doctor I work for is stressing me out today." Uh-oh. May do some deep breathing while you're at work because it really does work. It really does. And there are other things like manifestation, imagination, I should say, and visualization. So you just sort of imagine each body part from your toes to your head relaxing. Um, Paying attention to how we hold our head and our neck. So that way, if we see your shoulders coming up, try to keep your shoulders down because the more stressed we get, the higher they go. And so you want them low. But did anyone find that helpful? Because that's really absolutely how I've kept my heart rate down all these years. It's how I relax. It's sort of like counting to 10. You often see that when people like you get count to 10. Well, that's why. It really just a way of slowly making you breathe so your diaphragm activates. Um, so I'm going to there's any questions, I can answer them. I really thank all of you for listening. If you're listening now, you can comment, you can put hashtag replay, and make sure you follow and subscribe to our YouTube channels. That's blackdoctor.org, or it's blackdoctor.org on YouTube and Facebook. And for me, it is Dr. Toomer, Drtoomer, on Facebook and YouTube. So make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow. And for anyone who would like to know more about what I do and working with me, possibly, you can go to my website at drtoomer.com. So good night, everyone, and I will see you again next Tuesday for Dr. Toomer Talks, the last week of Stress Awareness Month. And so, if there's any topics that you'd like me to speak on, please send me a message, put something here, and and I'll just do a video, do a live on it. All right. Good night, everyone.